Hey there. Welcome to week 2 of the yellow card, the third chakra, Fables. And there's something that's really coming forward to me because we're in week 17, and I want you to really get that you've come far. This is a journey that we're on together, and that you actually probably at this point know more than you think you know. So I want to just validate that for you. So that said, let's take a look at the card of, and again, I yawn when I'm kind of going into like a spiritual state. Again, I want to show you here Illumina Seal, and forgive me for my bad Spanish, but this is the Spanish version of the deck, and I actually have the Spanish version here out today. I love using different languages because one of the things that happens when I work with the cards and I work with the fables is that they morph for me. So, that's why one of the things I say to people is try to stay away from trying to memorize something. It's more important that you feel into it because it's always going to change. It's the old cliche of the more things change, the more they remain the same. So keep in mind that it really is about the experience you're having rather than what something means, because the only real value in any meaning is the one that speaks to you. So that said, let's take a look at this week in the Toolkit Boom. So if you're joining in now, don't worry about it. I just keep plugging along. So remember what I said early on, and I said this in some of the beginner early on the pre-introduction videos. But one of the things I talked about is I talked about this idea of that each fable, so each of the fables, there's 7 of them in each chakra, they kind of also follow another pattern. So there's an entire rhythm to this collection. And the first thing is remembering that that first yellow chakra card is like the first red chakra. It's like the first chakra because you're being almost shot out of a cannon with the idea of miracle. This second week, remember, I said to you that the second week will represent, the second week of this chakra will represent an emotional state related to the chakra. So when we look at Illumina Seal, this is illumination, or in this case, in English, it's called enlightenment. So this is the card of enlightenment, but it's the fable of the mighty Topaz. And Topaz is the man standing there, and the youngster he's there as well. And he actually shows up in other fables. Do you know where he shows up? That's a little mini quiz. So remember what I said though about sunshine, meaning that when you see sun or the sun shining, you're looking at the God energy coming down and blessing. So look at how Topaz is very spiritual. He's in his spiritual energy and he's bringing wisdom to others. However, in the fable itself, Topaz is on the journey of taking a respite. He's on his way to visit the great spirits, and particularly the great servant. The great servant is really, it represents God, the idea of it. He represents God, if you will. And again, whether you call goddess or God or Jesus, in here, it's really about what your faith is about, and that's the part of you that's the highest calling. So when we look at the Enlightenment card, one of the things that all of us, no matter where we are in our journey, to find enlightenment, we have to recognize that the only way to find peace is through our fears. We have to be the people that are, like, in a sense, it's not that we're fearless, but we are courageously walking through things that other people have never been able to. And part of that is by doing that, we show the path and the way to a better part of ourselves. So let's take a look at the message of the week. And of course, this week's focus, and this is a quote from Topaz. He is the mighty Topaz. And it says, if I seek peace, I must embrace my fears. So it really is about loving that part of us ourselves that is the fear. Now, remember what I said. This is the fight or flight. It's the chakra of instinct. Third chakra, solar plexus. You already know this, so stay with me. when we look at this, we look at the idea of embracing fears. It's not a negative. It's a part of us that can fuel and support us. So the message of the week is the idea that even Topaz, the mighty Topaz, has grown tired. He's a healer, but he seeks solace at this time. He's aware that he must quiet his mind to allow inspired thought to enter his instinctual understanding. Inspired thought with our instinct. So we might have an instinct to go, I got to get out of here. But we have to be inspired and say, is that a truth in this moment for me? It might be. But taking that pause between a thought or an instinct and what will I do here? And that separates us from an animal that just jumps in, okay? Gavin, don't even think it. There's some thing of food on the thing in the thing. Okay. He's aware that he must quiet his mind. Okay, to enter instinctual understanding. Consider the wisdom of your own thoughts this week. We're all on this path. And never forget those who travel just behind us. Because those who travel in front of you are remembering you. So this is the concept, this is the overall concept that I talk about a lot on my YouTube channel, is the idea of giving a hand up and lighting the way for others. So when we look at how that first card of the Sun Sparkler lighting the way, and the second card here of enlightenment being our instinct or our emotions that are fueling us, can we have that inspired thought? So this is a very important part of this particular card. Fable, I keep calling it a card because I'm looking at the cards, but the fable is called the Fable of Topaz. And this is the overall idea, is that Topaz talks about people thinking they need to find a place where they can find some solace. And he says it's a place many of us don't visit, and it's the journey into our mind. So when we look at, hi, sweet pig, hi. When we look at the mighty Topaz, I know I'm fascinating. You are too. When we look at the mighty Topaz as a journey, instead of just oh, okay, I'm going to get this enlightenment somewhere else. And we recognize that he is a leader, and he is also looking for enlightenment. And when I say looking for, it's almost like, if you think of it almost like an electric car, he plugs back in to fill up again. So that's the idea behind all kinds of purposeful spirituality. It's the idea that we choose at any time to continually, and for those who go to church, they go to church weekly so they can have that energy. That for those who read the Bible, for those who practice any kind of other spirituality, if it's meditation or yoga or card reading, these are practices that keep us and replenish us into thinking in our higher mind. So that's really what a lot of this particular fable is about. So the first impressions, and again, I encourage you to read the fable because I want you to get the fable for yourself. In the most simplistic way, Topaz lays out a formula for enlightenment. Is there a truth in you for this today? Can you decide right now to be happy, knowing that the goal is never happiness, but serenity? Understand that the path you seek is the one you're already on. Okay. And now we're going to look at setting the intention for the week. Though our thoughts may seek happiness, the soul seeks serenity. If you consider that you're always getting the answers to the questions you ask, then the answers you hear may not be what you think they should be. This week, keep your emotions in check and remember that there was a time when you sought information that was generously given to you. Set an intention to be the person that in turn gives knowledge to someone in need. This may lead you exactly where you need to be, even if you don't see it. And remember, faith is something unseen. It's something that we understand that in our emotional place, you know, in that place of our emotions, we want to feel connected. And Topaz is really about finding a reconnection for you this week. So I'm going to invite you to just go ahead and read the fable. I want you to just, I'm going to share with you a little bit more, and then we're going to pass on. Now, remember, if you remember in the last video, we talked about I told you to write down 3 things. Well, the solo exercise is Mighty Topaz has given 3 gifts to you. What are they? Write down what comes to mind. Now, contact 3 of your closest friends and ask them what they think your greatest gifts are. What do you learn? And what I'm going to invite you to do, the way to play this game, is you write down the 3 words. And it can be yellow, tree, table. It can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to. And I would encourage you to stay away from frou-frou, because frou-frou words like enlightened or whatever. But if you feel those are your words, that's fine. But what I found very interesting is when I picked those words, and I don't remember where it was, but one of my words at one point was table. And somebody put when I asked one of my friends, okay, what are 3 words? And I put them next to the 3 words. I remember that they said to me, reliable. And somebody else said solid. And somebody else said, grounded. So what that was really about was, that was my message when I said table, of being solid, of being those things, because that was Spirit's way of sending me a message and saying, these are the things that table represents to you. And you hear it from outside sources. So it's a really magical way to step back into the idea that we're all connected with our mind. There is a universal consciousness. Please go ahead and do the exercises for this week. Post below what you discovered when you picked your 3 words, and you asked friends to give you some insight by telling you 3 qualities that you have. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'll see you next week.